Hi, welcome back to Master Recaps. Today I will show you a horror drama film from 2017 titled Moan 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 Monsters. The story opens with Lin Shuwei, a high school student at a famous high school who is being condemned by the whole class because he secretly stole the teacher's money. It was him. No matter how many times Lin tried to tell Teacher Lee, she refused to listen and let his friends swarm him like that. The picture showed Lin's classroom environment, which included him and a child. Another fat female student at the bottom of the food chain. No matter what happens, everything will always come down to him and her. As the days passed, Lin secretly stalked Ren Hao, the leader of the gang, leads the classroom to a place that used to be the former school's swimming pool, but now Ren Hao confiscated it as a secret base for private use. To do bad things together, Lin appeared in front of Ren Hao and his crew to inquire about what happened that day. Why didn't everyone tell the truth that it was Teacher Lee's money stole, which Ren Hao said, and who would go? If everyone believed that he was the thief, Lin was beaten by Ren Hao and nearly stabbed to the point of blindness. The next morning, he immediately informed Teacher Lee with a voice recorder in hand to confirm his innocence and said that Ren Hao was the one who stole Teacher Lee's money, that Teacher Lee did the opposite. As Lin thought, because she hadn't punished Ren Hao at all, and even forgiven him, not even saying that the vengeful Lin hadn't known the word forgiving his friend. Later, she persuaded Lin to join the Ren Hao group in order to become good friends, and since Lin couldn't resist them, he would join them. Lin agreed to become a subordinate in Ren Hao's group in exchange for not being bullied forever. As the days passed, he had to keep track of these youths who wandered around causing trouble for the villagers of the gorge around him. As if I was young, my father was rich and had great influence, even old people. The old and the poor were trampled on their dignity as if it was fun until one day a group of teenagers stumbled upon a horror that happened in the slums. The sight they saw was that two beasts were hungrily devouring their human prey as they drove out the bigger beasts and held the smaller ones in shackles just like pets. Ren Hao's fans, seeing the beast for the first time, were shocked and asked what they were doing with it. Ren Hao then said that this one is not a human but it is a human-eating beast. Don't you think this is really cool to have a pet beast? After that, they started doing many strange experiments on this beast, burning it with heat. With their mouths full of fangs removed, this beast would regain its form in no time until they realized that sunlight was the only one that could kill the beast. The scene cuts back to the big beast again, which is pursuing his younger brother, and then begins to go into a frenzy of killing people. Lin also tries to find information about the missing children's department. He discovers that the little beast is actually a woman and was once a human being, and she and her sister grew up in a family of shamans who made stories about occultism and enchanting spells to captivate one another. But later, an accident caused her parents' death, causing all evil and curses to return to his two daughters. Ren Hao said that we might find a way to undo the curse to help them become human again. Ren Hao threw away all the papers and told Lin that before they might be right, but now they're monsters. We'll sell them to people who are interested in making money, maybe those who like collecting weird stuff. NASA might want them to be dissected. Until then, let's vote on who will feed it well. We will stick to democracy. Whoever gets the most votes will sacrifice their own blood to feed the beasts. Of course, it was Lin, who was voted the most by the Ren Hao guys, had tried to study how to draw blood from the AV movie where they watched and sucked the blood toys for the beasts to have fun while Lin had to bear the responsibility of drowning. Feed the beast every day to raise it to die until someone bought it. Several times, Lin's feelings of pity entered his heart and thought of letting the beast go free. Looking back and forth, he must have faced when Ren Hao's men realized that he had let the beast go. He might have been killed by them, or, worse, could have been adopted instead of the beast, so Lin had given up. That almost immediately. As the days passed, Lin continued to be teased by his classmates regularly, but now unlike before, he was Ren Hao's subordinate, causing all those who teased him to be trampled upon. Reward later, Ren Hao was summoned to meet with Teacher Lee, and the parents of the students whom he attacked him harshly criticized Ren Hao and demanded an apology. Mother and father. His mother died and his father was in prison, thus causing this child to have such a bad nature. He had to apologize on his behalf, which caused Ren Hao's anger and pain so much that the idea was to take revenge on Teacher Li by dripping blood into her drinking water in the hopes that it would infect Teacher Li and turn into a demon. On the day of the school's sports day, Lin tried to thank Ren Hao for protecting him that day until he was punished, but Ren Hao said that the only person who could prank you was me and everyone else. No, they have no right to hurt my subordinates. Lin continued to ask, then why did you tease me? Well, it was fun. Ren Hao replied with a pat on Lin's head, during which time, Teacher Li, who had been infected with demonic blood, had something wrong with her. She was about to transform into them. Ren Hao, who had been waiting for that moment, rushed over to help Teacher Li and dragged him out of the sun. Teacher Li's figure burst into flames in front of Ren Hao's laughing and jumping eyes, glad to see his own homeroom teacher die, but even more shocking was all the students inside. They all picked up their phones and took selfies with Teacher Li's dead body without anyone helping her or even calling an ambulance. The news of Teacher Li's death and the clip of her had just spread through various TV channels so quickly that another beast saw it and immediately knew where her sister was hiding. The picture cuts back to the Ren Hao group once again, who were furiously celebrating Teacher Li's passing, as they used Lin to go buy some beer and didn't even give him any money. One bot, which everyone knows well, that at the shop in front of the school, there is an old mother and her son with cerebral palsy. She tries to teach her son how to take care of herself and sell things to be so that he could live on when she was gone. Ren Hao's men had taken this place as their regular shop where they could get anything in it without paying a penny. With Lin, who felt guilty, would always pay the mama money instead of Ren Hao. But today, everything was not the same again. Lin did not see the grandmother. He immediately knew that the mother was no longer in this world, leaving only her cerebral palsy son alone in the store, so he tried to steal things and money for Mama's son to see in order to see his reaction, but Emma's son kept laughing and allowed Lin to steal things, which caused Lin's displeasure to the point that it exploded. Your emotions come out. Why are you laughing when you see that I'm about to steal? Now that your mother is gone and there is no one to look after you, how can you survive in a society that is full of bad people like this? Afterwards, Lin shed tears that weren't tears of regret, but rather tears of pain that he was seeing himself inside this man's body. That same night, the other one followed the traces of a school uniform that he had seen on TV until he met Lin's school, where it broke into a school bus and inside was a girlfriend. Ren Hao was sitting. All the children were brutally murdered in search of his missing sister. Ren Hao, having heard the news that his girlfriend had been killed by a demon, was deeply saddened and planned to take revenge on it by luring the beast to trap it from where they had placed it using the beast's blood. Small droplets trickled down to lure another beast to smell, then they would use Lin as bait to lure the beast to where they wanted it. Their plan was successfully accomplished by the demon followed his sister's blood to Ren Hao's base. What everyone expected was that instead of Lin running to lure the beast to the spot they had agreed upon, Lin ran to lure them. It came to Ren Hao like that, causing everyone to be beaten to death by them. Meanwhile, Lin locked himself in the room. Ren Hao tried to endure a cry for help in order for Lin to open the door for Lin, who was also scared, but he wouldn't become anyone's tool again. Lin released. Let his friend be defeated by a demon outside before it invaded the room that Lin was in for his sister's life. Lin had tried to explain that he was not Ren Hao's member and had always taken care of her sister, but the beast wouldn't listen and thought of killing Lin next. With no choice, Lin took the window barrier out to let the sunlight shine into the room. The little beast's body was so sunburnt that the older beast jumped in to block the path of light while pitifully yanked the chains that had tied his sister off, but her sister was not flattered. Am ran away and nodded to her sister that it was probably our time. The two beasts scorched their bodies to the scorching sun, with only Lin surviving out of there. The next morning, Lin returned to school as usual, where he secretly poured the blood of the beasts that Ren Hao had sucked into his friends' soup pots. Soon, all of his friends' bodies were set on fire. Everyone was burned to death, even Lin himself. That's the end of the movie. Subscribe for more video like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.